It's therefore my honor and pleasure, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to welcome our wonderful president, the President, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Please welcome here His Excellency, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan.
Please be seated. Her Excellency, my dear wife, Mrs. Patient Jonathan, His Excellency, the Vice President, and my good sister, the wife of the Vice President, His Excellency, the Senate President, and the Chairman of the National Assembly, His Excellency, the Right Honorable Speaker, here today represented by my good friend, the Deputy Speaker, my Lord, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, the first woman to occupy that prestigious position, Your Excellencies, former heads of state and government are here with us. We sincerely thank you, General Yakubu Gowon, Alhaji Shehu Shagari, and Chief Ernest Shoneko. We are grateful for your participation in this program. The Deputy Senate President and members of the National Assembly, let me appreciate Professor Sawyer, the former interim president of Liberia, and our brother Jesse Jackson for being with us today. Members of the Federal Executive Council, the Secretary to Government, the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, former Chief Justice of the Federation that are here with us, our royal fathers, and other very senior citizens of this great country here with us today, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm here for a special program. I've been asked not to talk. Last year, by this time, I addressed this country from my office, and I spoke for about 1 hour. That was the end of the first 12 months of this administration. Today, we are marking the end of the first 24 months. That is our midterm review. And my duty is to formally present a document that all Nigerians will be able to read and assess us. So I'm not meant to talk. And of course, we heard from all others, the planning minister, the finance minister, and the secretary of government, and of course, the video documentaries. That will give you an idea of what we have done. Next year, by this time, I don't know, probably they will ask me to say something or not. If I will talk, I think I may speak for about 2 hours. But if I'm asked not to talk, I will only do what probably I'll be asked to do. But because I'm going to present a document that will enable Nigerians to assess the government, let me crave your indulgence to say something. Because only on Monday, I looked through a particular publication, one of our dailies, and gave an assessment of some of the ministries, the performance of the ministers. The first thing that I looked for, but I didn't see, was the criteria that was used to assess the performance of the ministers. As a teacher, I know that for you to mark a student, you must have a marking scheme. Because assessment could be very, very subjective. And if a fellow politician is assessing another politician, you assess the person based on your heartbeat. But I also know that a number of comments are based on the heartbeats of the people. And let me deviate a little and give you an example. When I was the deputy governor in Bayelsa State, when we were in our second tenure, I was also interested in being the governor of the state. I set up my campaign office called the Green Movement. And there was a time I traveled to Lagos. I think it's in Echo Meridian. And I was talking to some journalists. And so one of them probably has a friend. And his friend also wants to be the governor of the state. We're all interested. And the friend appears to come from the same central district with Chief Alamesia, who was my governor. And the fear is that since Chief Alamesia is completing a complete 8 years, the state may not allow somebody from that central district to be the next governor. And he may favor me from a different central district. And the young man asked, said, Deputy Governor, in fact, in terms of Bayelsa State, we need merit. We don't need any other sentiment about selecting who will become the next governor, but merit. Then I asked him, what is merit? I said, well, if it is merit, I think I'm the most qualified person to be there. Because I said that as a teacher, and you know, if you want to employ somebody to be the MD of a company, or even to be a clerk, you set up a panel to interview the person. And for that panelist to interview, they set up criteria, neatness, communication. They use different parameters and weigh it. Maybe some they may give 10, some 25, and so on. And the different panelists will use this criteria to score all the candidates that will be interviewed. At the end of the day, they will aggregate it and get the person who have the highest. And I said, well, you should go and develop your own criteria to assess all of us from Bayelsa State who want to be the next governor. And I said, if I will mention some, if you, just like in a normal interview, the first is you'll talk about previous experience. And if we talk about who have had the experience of governing a state, then we're talking about those who have been governors before will score the maximum points on that particular parameter. But I know all our former governors, none of them is interested. I've been a deputy governor before, so I scored the highest. And I said, the next they will talk about qualification. The Constitution requires school start. All of us have the school start. But if you want to know also, go and look at the grades we have in our school start. That all of us who are interested in becoming the governor have all their data, everything about them, I know. They also have my own. And I also know that I have the best grades. And I said that after the school start, any other qualification is an additional advantage. I have a tertiary qualification, so I'll still score the highest. And I'll go on and go on. In terms of understanding the state, I said even before I became the deputy governor of Bayelsa State, I was in charge of environmental protection in Ompadek, Oil Mineral Producing Area Development Commission. And there's no part of Bayelsa State I did not go. And having been a deputy governor for upward of 6 years, there is no part of the state that I don't. So I understand the state more than any other person. That parameter I also scored the highest. So I said, okay, go and let me tell you. So by your own assessment or whatever other criteria you will bring in, how do you assess me? Don't you think I'll get the highest position? The man couldn't say anything again. I just shared that experience because sometimes people assess government based on their heartbeat. And I also noticed in the heart assessment, 2 ministries, Ministry of National Planning was given average. Trade and Investments was given average. And as I came into the center from 2007, and I've worked with 3 ministers of national planning, I've worked 3 ministers of trade and investment. They have never done what has been done today. In terms of foreign direct investment that they have attracted to this country by the activities of that ministry, of course the planning minister, the finance minister mentioned it. It has never happened. In spite of our security challenges, there is so much interest of businessmen wanting to come to Nigeria. If you travel out, for those of you who travel, you know. Before that plan, that trade and investment ministry was almost like a dead end. They are very active. Talk about planning. It's until Samsudin came on board. Most of the ministers that came with me 2007, we used to say that until Samsudin came on board, we didn't even know that we had a planning ministry. But these 2 ministries were scored average. I asked, what is the criteria used? I think that is the purpose of today. Elders, ladies and gentlemen, the idea is to formally present a document to all Nigerians about the activities of the government for these past 2 years. And I plead with all of us, especially those who want to assess and write about it, to develop a criteria. Because without a marking scheme, you cannot mark anybody's paper. Develop your own, compared with previous governments and so on and so forth, all over Africa, not just Nigeria. 2 years of a government, and this is what we have done. Develop your marking scheme and mark us. I thank you.
Let's put our hands together for this wonderful president, Your Excellencies.